racing immediately. But a champion becomes a legend. McCabe Diva wins it again.
Yes, yes, yes. Wins the Everest. Glenn Boss wins another big one.
Hello and welcome to Who's the Boss, Episode 1, Season 3. Adam Peacock alongside Glenn Boss. Bossy, we're back for Season 3.
Can't believe it. No, it's great fun. The two seasons we've had have been a lot of fun. And we've got some cracking guests for the third one. So I'm really looking forward to this. It feels really comfortable now.
Yeah, we've lined up a number of guests, most of them for Season 3. Got a couple of vacancies, so we're putting out the word to all the A-listers out there. So,
yeah, if they want to get involved.
Yeah, you got a good contact book though, so
yeah.
That's the way to go. Summer, how was it for you, Bossy?
Oh, it was great. The tennis was great, wasn't it? You watched your commentary down there. Well done too, by the way. It was pretty smick. That tennis now is rivaling anything in Australia as an event now, I believe. I went down and watched a couple of games. It's a real proper event. So well done to Melbourne, putting on a show again. The weather was good. There was a bit of controversy, as there always is with the tennis, but
always.
I really enjoyed that. I got to go and play in the Pro-Am at Live Golf in Adelaide.
Now, I saw this. How was that?
That was amazing. And that's another event. That's huge, right? It's well done to Adelaide and the government down there for taking this on, because it's now a beast. And I got to play with one of my idols, Bubba Watson.
Bubba.
Got to play with Bubba Watson.
He was your Pro-Am pro.
Yep, he was incredible. Great human being. Just the way he can shape shots and like to the tee, say, hey, mate, what are you going to do? And he said, well, see that tree, see that little V in the tree, and the tree's 150 metres away. He said, I'm going to hit it through there, then it's going to start cutting. Mate, this incredible just to watch. And we had a lot of banter and a lot of fun.
Yeah, but put him on a horse and get him 3 wide with cover and then make the decision at the top of the straight. I bet you could tell him what to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, everyone to their own, right? But I was in awe just watching him, how high he hits the ball, how much control he has over the golf ball. Just a pleasure to walk the fairways with him.
Now, did you play the party hole, the 12th? Did
Yes,
you have a go at that?
Yes, we did.
How'd you go?
And I did a Cameron Smith. I put mine up in the bleachers. It was shocking. Me and Jimmy Cassidy we were down there doing our thing, and Jimmy put his on the green, and I hit mine into the bleachers. And I don't know if I took someone's head off, but anyway, Cameron Smith can do it. I can do it too.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Hey, you want to be like your idols. And the good thing about Jim Cassidy, he wouldn't have reminded you at all for the next 6 hours about what happened?
No, I didn't get any texts from him at all telling me how good he was. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. You know, the music's pumping. It's a real good vibe. They had the 3 days. It's a really smick event. If I urge anyone, if they want to go and have some fun at an event, go to Live Golf. It's a lot of fun.
And Magic Millions, I'm sure you took it in near your home up there in southeast Queensland. And some racing. We've got the good ones coming back as well, which is exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. The 2-year-olds, the landscape's changing quickly with the 2-year-olds. So we're getting to the pointy end for the Golden Slipper now. So it's going to be one hell of a race. And Via Sistina getting beat first up, there was a bit of controversy. She will bounce back. She's a superstar. Anyone who drops off her, do it at your own peril.
Yeah, we've got later in the show here on episode 1, we've got a look at the 2 Group 1s coming up this weekend, the 2-year-olds as well at Randwick. So plenty to get through there. Just want to touch on before we go, and we've got Bossy's Best at the end, and you'll give us your thoughts on those races before we rip in with our first guest. Did you notice Romantic Warrior Saudi Cup where you rode? James Mcdonald. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it when you hit the front in a race like that and it doesn't happen for you. Through no fault, it looked like of James's. The other one from Japan ran it down.
Yeah, the Japanese are hard to beat, right? And they're very good at adapt on dirt tracks. That was his first go on dirt. When he first went, I went, oh, I held my breath for a moment because he jogged up too quick. I think James might have thought on the dirt he's going to have to go through his gears, in which they generally do. But he's such a phenomenal racehorse. When he exposed him, he actually took him to the front. And you're a long way from home at Saudi, especially on dirt. But they both ran away from the rest. So James said my horse wasn't stopping. Just the Japanese was too strong. But I held my breath for a moment. I thought, oh, geez, the button might have got pushed a little bit too soon. But I'm not going to question James McDonald the way he rode that horse. The horse was brave, beaten by a better horse on the day.
Yeah, James does what James does, though. He hopped on a plane, went to Hong Kong, won a big race less than 24 hours later. So, he got over it quick.
The jet setter.
He got over it quick. And we look forward to seeing Romantic Warrior, I think maybe Dubai, and they're trying to go to Japan as well. So.
Yeah, he's a globe-trotting horse, this horse. I can't believe the constitution this horse has got. I've never seen it. He just gets on a plane, goes to another country, and never lets anyone down.
You couldn't do it as a human. You get jet lag.
He'd struggle,
much.
right? But
Yeah.
he just keeps turning up. So very well managed by the group.
Yeah. Now, before we rip in, we've got a
Yep.
big thank you once again to the crew at Airtouch. They're back on board again, the ultimate smart air conditioning controller for your home or business. Bossy, you've got Airtouch at home. I'm sure it's been utilised heavily over summer.
It's never let me down either. Sometimes you get these air conditionings and you think, oh, okay, something can go, but it's never let me down at any point. Just so easy on your phone, driving home from golf, just turn it on. And you don't have to have it on all day. That's the thing. You're saving energy and costs because you don't need to have it on all day. 20 minutes before you get home or 10 minutes, tune it in and off you go and you walk into a cool house. It's good.
Airtouch.net.au is the place to go to check out this wonderful product. Control the temperature at home through Airtouch. So thank you for the crew at Airtouch for their support of Who's the Boss Season 3. And you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and also TikTok. We're on TikTok.
TikTok, mate.
Were we on TikTok in Season 2?
Oh, we're everywhere. We're global, mate. We go
Now, with TikTok,
infiltrating everything.
you when you're on TikTok and you're there, you have to mix up the content and it includes a lot of dancing. I ain't doing that, so that's over to you for Season 3.
Yeah, I mean, if it's going to be entertaining, because it will be entertaining because I can't dance for shit. So, yeah, I'll do that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Twist your arm. YouTube at Who's the Boss Pod. So check us out there. If you're checking us out there, thank you for subscribing as well. Tell your mates. And anywhere you get your podcast from, this is where Who's the Boss is available. Now, this week's guest, Bossy, we've opened up with a good one.
Yeah, Junior. He's littered. His career is littered with just great stuff. His cricket career is second to none. He's a champion bloke, but he's just so into his racing. This guy has been for a long time. So, and he's married to Kim Waugh, who's a trainer, great woman, a bit of a pioneer herself. So, I'm interested to hear some stories that he's got to tell about his exploits with betting and whatnot, because I know he loves a punt. But some of these stories that are about the horse race, I'm really interested to hear about it.
Some good yarns on the way. Here he is, our first guest for Season 3, Mark Waugh. Well, this man's known for two things: elegance with the bat and opinions as clear as glass when it comes to cricket. Well, he's also known as a few other things as well. One of 8 Australian men to score 8,000 test runs, World Cup winner, and part of the Kim Waugh training operation when it comes to horse racing. Mark Waugh, g'day, mate. How are you?
Adam, Bossy, great to be on the show.
Thanks, Mark.
Great to have you. And Bossy, we've got to mention at the top here.
Yes.
A tradition here at Who's the Boss.
Yes.
And it's back for Season 3. Your cups have had some Botox put on them and they're
good are they?
as good as new.
Yeah, they're brand new, basically, because as you said, we missed part of Season 2 because Mark had to put them take them back to the original owner of makeup because, I drank so much piss out of them over 20 odd years. They started to look a bit ratty.
Mate,
and he's
good as gold.
Yeah, they recoat them with the gold because they are solid gold. Yeah. And they bring them back to the brand new state. So this is a treat for all of us, actually, because this will be the first time these will be drunk out of since I've had them redone.
Ever.
Right,
so just you haven't touched them.
No.
Left them for
this is I saved it for today.
Yeah, good stuff.
So
I feel honoured.
So what we do, we have a nice bottle of champagne here.
They're fairly heavy.
Which one have I got?
Well, I don't muck around, mate. They're real
You
gold.
know what you're doing with that, don't you?
So
Open a few of them.
we've got this is how we start.
Yeah,
the
if
day.
you could.
All right,
Thank
okay,
you,
that'll do. I don't think I can drink a full one.
No, it's just for a sip, mate.
Right.
And the thing is,
got to drive home too.
Junior,
It is 8 o'clock in the morning as well as we record this.
Because it's real gold, you'll start feeling in a minute. If you feel the gold, it actually, the temperature of the actual.
You're giving yourself a full load there.
Yeah, aren't you what?
I'm all right. But what happens, it starts to drop in temperature.
Yeah, right.
You'll feel that. It actually gets colder.
Yeah.
So if your beer's 3 degrees when you put it in, it actually ends up 2 degrees.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous what it does. I don't know. Anyway,
Very clever.
cheers, boys.
Reverse thermos.
Cheers out of the Melbourne Cups.
Right.
Mackay Diva. God bless you.
Champion.
Season 3. Off and running with the tradition.
Yeah.
Back.
Not quite a coffee, but good second.
Same effect.
We'll take the
I know you
Quinella.
love your reds.
We'll take the Quinella.
I know you love your reds, but I did make the mistake one day putting red in it, and it stains it really bad.
Right.
So I can't drink reds out of it, unfortunately.
Mark, we're going to cover some ground in this one. We'll obviously talk about your love of horse racing and cricket as well. But would you say right now you're helping Kim out with the stable, doing a bit of cricket commentary as well?
Yeah.
Is life more enjoyable now than it was as an athlete?
Look, I wouldn't say more enjoyable because playing cricket for your country and earning a living out of playing sport, travelling the world, that's what better can you do? I mean, you know, if you play doing something you love and it's a sport, I mean, there's ups and downs in everything you do. You know, there's no doubt about that. But I think there's way more ups playing cricket for Australia, making good money, travelling the world. It doesn't get much better than that. And now my life is obviously different. I'm involved in horse racing a lot with obviously my wife Kim. It's a different type of, I guess, adrenaline rush. It's a sport as well, and it has a lot of ups and downs and a lot of things you can't control, which is a bit frustrating from what I see. But my life's great now. It was great when I played. I've got no complaints.
It's a privileged position, isn't it, to play for Australian cricket, because it's not like there's hundreds of thousands of people have had that position. So when you go back through the history, there's not a lot of people who actually had that privilege, because when you get in a team, it stays that team will stay together for quite a while, right?
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah.
People will come in and out, but it's a privileged position.
Well, how many people have got the baggy greens? 480 something. I don't know
Right.
the exact
It's
number.
amazing.
So
Yeah.
there's not a lot of people have done if you look at the population over a big period of time. But I mean, I was lucky. I was involved in a great era.
Yeah.
You know, we had a lot of success. We won World Cups. You know, we knocked off the West Indies, who were the number one team through the 80s and early 90s. We took over from them. I played with some great players, you know, from the start. You know, your Alan Borders through to your Ricky Ponnings, Adam Gilchrist, these sorts of guys. So we had success, and it's always more fun when you're successful, isn't it? When you're losing whatever sport you're playing, it's not as much fun. So great era. The money was good, so I made a good living. Not as good now if I was playing, say, the IPL, but you know, I think growing up, I played all sports, and cricket was always the one that I wanted to, you know, play for my country.
Yeah, and worked out as well. You're part of that great Australian side at the turn of the century, 16 Test matches in a row, captained by your brother, of course. What
16 or 17?
16.
Wasn't okay.
Yeah, because they came along a few years later and tied. Unless you're saying that you ripped off in one, and it should have been
probably.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, no.
But what was the DNA of that side? Was it great players just playing great, or was there an immense sense of togetherness and team and camaraderie about the team that carried you through?
I think a bit of all that, actually. I mean, you've got to have the talent, no matter what sport. You don't have the talent if you don't have the horse, or you don't have the skills as a jockey. You're not going to win many races. In cricket, you've got to have the skills, whether it's bat, ball, or in the field. I mean, we had great players through that period. You know, your Shane Warnes, your Glenn McGraths. You know, so your freak bowlers, your batsmen like Ricky Ponting, Stephen, Matthew Hayden, Alan Border. So we had the skills to start with, which is a great start. But then we had the right sort of team ethics and structure there. You know, everyone respected each other. No one was bigger than anyone else in the team unit. You know, it only takes one or two guys to sort of fall out of line with everybody else, and they can drag the team down. Yep. So we didn't have that. You know, everybody respected each other. Yeah, we had the big guns like Warney, who was, you know, he was Hollywood. You know, he was everyone noticed him, and you know, he got all the attention, etc. But you know, if he ever got out of line, you know, there'd be guys to pull him into line. And I don't think that quite happens these days in a lot of sports. So we had the combination of the great players and the right structure there, the right leadership.
And you weren't playing as much cricket as we see today. Like, it's very diluted these days. So, like, back in the day, like, I probably digress, but you say when I was a kid watching the cricket, you just couldn't wait for you guys to come out and play test or one days, because you weren't seeing a lot of it. So when you did come, it was like the whole of Australia watched a test, and the whole of Australia watched when you play your one days. Now it's kind of, there's a lot of it, right?
Yeah, there is. I mean, there's the three forms of cricket now. There was no T20s when I played, so it was just 50 over cricket and test match cricket. And it goes back to the World Series days when I was younger, you know, brought up watching the World's, you know, the Kerry Packer days, you know, the music and you know, the coloured clothing. That's when it all started for me, you know, growing up. And then when I was playing, we basically, the structure of the summer was the same every year. You play your 4 or 5 test matches against whoever was touring, and then you'd have your one-day series, your tri-series, you know, in the holidays around Christmas and January, and everyone knew that's what happened. But now, you know, there's tournaments left, right and centre. You know, players are falling in and out of the side. T20 cricket is sort of, you know, mixed in there as well now. So there's a big changeover of players and a changeover of the fixture list, which is hard to follow sometimes.
Yeah, when you guys used to go on tour back then, it was a tour. Like, you were away for months at a time.
We were.
Not you're not as old that
Didn't get on the boat to England, but
No,
we were on a
wasn't a
plane.
steamboat. But you went for a while.
Yeah.
You'd go to the Windies, you'd play a couple of tour matches, you'd go to various places you play to. Now it's like fly in, fly out. They're like mining workers, basically, the players. But some of those tours, you'd have some bloody good memories, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the West Indies was a great tour. Well, back in our day, there's no mobile phone, so I mean, you could get away with a bit more off the field than you can these days. Because these days, you can't do anything without someone knowing what you're doing. But I mean, the Ashes tour, for example, would be 3 or 4 months back when we played, and we'd play 16 or 17 games against the county teams. So you say we played less. We played less cricket back then, but we probably actually didn't. Now they play one warm-up game on the Ashes tour, and that's it. So we were playing in between Test matches. We'd be playing against Essex or Lancashire, throughout the tour. So
on a bus full of beer.
Were they televised games? Like were they
the county games weren't against?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
no,
so we didn't.
They would have been in England, but not in Australia. Just the Test matches. But we were basically. So you tour England on a bus, so that you get great camaraderie on the bus. You have your card players up the front. You might have guys who watch movies, other guys who will read the form guide like me, or sleep. And then you play golf. We got Titleist golf clubs given to all the players on the Ashes tour. So when we weren't playing cricket, we were playing golf, or some of us were going to the races or whatever. So it was. And then the partners had come across for a certain amount of time, 2 weeks. I think they're allowed to tour with us. Yeah, restricted.
That'd change the lifestyle. Wouldn't it?
Yeah, we pull our heads in then when the partners came. But I mean, there was great times. I mean, you could do a lot more fun things, I guess, than you can do now, and get away with things that you couldn't certainly do in the current climate.
That one of those Ashes tours, Bossy, I'm led to believe, the great Brendan Julian, colleague of yours at Fox, told me that there was 50 cartons of 4X or some ridiculous amount lined up for you guys to put onto the bus when you arrived at Heathrow, just to get you started.
Well, I think Bernie had
tour.
56 cans before he got there on the plane over, so we had to hold him up at the press conference. But I wasn't a big beer drinker, so it was not much use to me, 4X. I wasn't a big drinker overall, but more red wine. But yeah, if I had to drink beer, then it was 4X.
You needed clarity for your form guide reading.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, yep.
Well, but it was just the done thing back then, wasn't it?
It was, it's a different culture. Different culture. Yeah, after the day's play, there'd be beers in the dressing room.
But the two teams would get together and have beers?
Yeah, often they would, they would. Whoever was fielding that day, the fielding team, the batting team would go into their dressing room and have a few drinks after the end of the day's play. And it was... not all teams got on great, but we got on really well with the Poms in South Africa. I mean, when I first played the West Indies, I was sort of in awe playing against, your Viv Richards, Curtley Ambrose, Desmond Haynes, these sorts of guys. I was almost intimidated by them, so we didn't, drink a lot with those guys. Probably should have, because it makes you more relaxed.
Yeah.
You feel like they're not superhuman if you're having a drink with them. But generally, we go in for a drink after each stage playing with the opposition and tell each other how good or bad we were during the day.
What was it like facing a pissed off Curtley?
Yeah.
Curtley, well, when I first played the West Indies, their team was Greenwich, Haynes, Richardson, Viv Richards, Logie, Dujon. Then they had Bishop, Ambrose, Walsh. Marshall was still playing. So it was a great team, and it's great to play against them because these guys were the legends. They were the number one cricket nation in those days, and touring the West Indies was actually, the cricket got in the way of a good holiday, to be honest. You yourself when you play cricket, when you got on the field, you're playing those guys.
But they played with a bit of swagger too, didn't they?
Swagger, mate. Viv Richards. Who swaggers more than him? You're the equivalent in the jockeys room.
I don't know
to
that.
Viv. Well, maybe Shane Dye. Who was the swagger in the jockeys room? I don't know. Who was the...
Yeah, probably me.
Frankie Dettori.
Dettori, he definitely,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah, so... You got to have a bit of swagger about you, but you got to be able to back it up.
Yeah,
as
true.
Well.
That's true.
Did you have that, Bossy, when you started? Like Junior just talking there about, okay, wow, playing against these legends, and you trying to coexist with guys in the jockey room.
Yeah, basically I was just a kid in the corner, just being a sponge the whole time until I eventually started,
get a bit of confidence.
You get a bit of confidence, and then you start to evolve, I suppose, and then you become that person. You become your idols in a way, because you're soaking so much energy off them and what they do and how they do things. You actually start becoming like them. Like Shane, like I said, he had a lot of swagger, but I used to watch Shane notoriously, watch the way he rode, watch the way he went through his process. So you sort of without thinking about it, you actually start becoming that person in a way.
Yeah. But yours is more of a team, individual sport, though, isn't it? So, you mates don't want to give you too many tips on how to be
it's a
good jockey,
crazy
do they?
sport that we have. We're individuals, but when we're in the room, we're a team.
Yeah.
It's a real team environment.
Yeah.
We look after each other, we love each other, we make sure everything's sweet. But when we're out there, we just dancing that fine line all the time.
Yeah, it's tough.
Where'd your love of racing come?
I think my dad and my grandfather. My dad was a keen punter, and my grandfather, his dad was very keen punter. He used to follow the races and the trots as well. But I grew up in Panania, so southwestern suburbs of Sydney. So Bankstown Trots was about 10 minutes away, and Warwick Farm probably about 12 minutes away. So they were the two tracks that we used to frequent a lot with Dad, and he'd give you $1, a couple of bucks to have a bet with, and then I mean, not all my brothers are really keen on racing, but it just stuck with me. I just obviously I'm a punter, but I just love the sport anyway. Like I can sit there and watch races without having a bet. And I've always been interested in racing. And then I owned quite a few trotters when I was starting my cricket career. Not so many racehorses, but I still followed the races. And I remember my first real love of racing was at Canterbury Races. I think I was about 18, and I went down to the stables before the race, and there was a horse called Long John Silver. He was a grey horse. And Peter Sterling, I think, either was an owner or he was with the horse, right? Yeah. And I didn't know the price, so I went back into the tote and had $5 each one, and he paid $170 to win. Long John Silver at Canterbury, $170.
wow.
It was $170. I think either Ray Guy or Brian Guy trained it.
Yeah,
so
no, it was Ray Guy.
Yeah,
because Peter told this story. When
I don't know if Stello owned it or
because he was
in the camp.
No, he was involved with the camp.
Yeah, because Parramatta.
Him and Ray were very close friends. He used to go to the stables all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the situation where they connected.
He made you a millionaire when you were 18 back then.
I thought, wow, how easy is this? But
what'd you do with the cash?
I probably had a punt. Lost it about a month later.
Just reinvested.
I've always loved the game, and obviously having met Kim and married Kim, now I see it from a different point of view, and I'm heavily involved in trying to promote the stable. I mean, I helped Kim program the horses for years, so I'm pretty much up to speed on handicapping and programming, which gets very frustrating at times. And I know all about bleeders and this and that, and all the things that go wrong with horses just through Kim coming back and talking to me. So I've seen it from a different angle now, but I still love the sport.
Yeah. Was there a particular horse that really caught your imagination back in the day?
Mackay Diva, is in the top 2 or 3 that horses, and obviously your rides were unbelievable. Just to get the right runs at the right time over 2 miles is tough. I mean, I love staying races too because Kim's a good trainer of stayers. We had a horse called Martoon, won the Sydney Cup, ran in the Melbourne Cup. But I think Superimpose is my favourite all-time horse. Yeah. Just, I love a leader too, but I love the reverse where a horse can, comes from the back.
Yeah.
And, it often needs a bit of luck or a great ride. Darren Beeben used to ride Superimpose a lot, didn't he? And all those mile races he won at Randwick. Some of those wins with 62 kilos from last weaving through were just amazing. He's my favourite horse.
So there's a story here about Superimpose, about a famous race that he won.
Yeah.
That involves you, but you were playing cricket that day?
I was, yeah. I mean, who would have a cricket game on Cox Plate Day?
Yeah,
but anyway,
that's right, really.
I was playing club cricket. I wasn't playing for Australia or New South Wales. I love my club, don't get me wrong, but it was Cox Plate Day, and we're playing Sydney Uni at Sydney Uni, so on Parramatta Road there, the ground's right near Parramatta Road. And we're playing Sydney Uni. We knocked them over. It was a 50-over game, so we knocked them over for about 140, which is great because I think I can win this game before the race starts, 3:30 or 3 o'clock or whatever it was, the Cox Plate. So that was good encouragement to really go after the bowling. So myself and Stephen were batting. We were 1 out for, about 130, and I'm looking at the clock, and I'm trying to finish the game. I end up getting out, caught on the boundary, playing a bit of a loose shot. But the bonus was I had time to get my pads off and run up the street and watch, go to the tab in Parramatta Road and watch Superimpose win the race. That was a year. There was the 4 naturalism.
Yeah, that was naturalism, the favourite.
Were you probably riding in that race?
No, I didn't ride in that race. I was actually there at the races that day, but Mick Dippin come down on the turf on naturalism. He was nearly odds on.
I think there was 2 or 3 come down.
There was 3 horses come down.
Yeah, and Superimpose was 20-1. He was big odds.
It was a chaos race.
Yeah, so
right from the start, from when the fall happened, right to the finish line, it was chaotic, that race.
Yeah.
And
He probably got a bit lucky, Superimpose,
Greggy Hall.
because a lot of the field jammed up. And
That's
he just,
right.
He just come down the outside. But, yeah, I remember that day, especially running up Parramatta Road to the tab. Because there's no phones then.
At this time, you're playing for Australia.
Yeah.
And at some point, drivers along Parramatta Road could have seen you in your whites
Yeah, I think
bolting up Parramatta Road to try and get somewhere.
it wasn't that far, actually, because it was almost across the road, actually, the tab.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're in your whites.
I might have taken my trousers off. I might have put my shorts on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the hit to the boundary was not.
Well, it was a bit of a loose shot, but I was trying to finish. I was trying to finish the game, and I knew Stephen was in the other end, so we couldn't get beat.
No.
We were home and hosed.
Was Stephen aware of your need to get this
No.
game done, or he didn't give a
Probably, but no, he wasn't a punter, Stephen.
He was just dropping them at his feet.
Oh,
No.
he wasn't
No.
dropping them, but yeah, no, the game was done, so
Yeah.
it all ended up well. We won the game. I backed the winner, and I watched the race. So
Yeah.
You cheered him on.
yeah, exactly.
Great horse, Posse. One of the great horses.
yeah,
And like you look at it now and you think, oh yeah, Superimpose. He's not in the greats of Winks Black Caviar.
No.
But have a look at his record.
No,
in those. What was it? Epsom, Doncaster.
Yeah.
Like 2 years in a row.
Yeah, two-peat back to back.
Did he run in the Melbourne Cup? Did he run a place?
Yep.
Yeah, he ran in the
Because
Melbourne Cup.
he wasn't a genuine stayer, was he?
He was a brilliant mile
He's just a good
horse,
bit like Kingston
but
Town.
he had the ability to relax very well in his races,
Yeah.
and that took him a long way.
Did he run a place?
I reckon he ran in Let's Elope's Melbourne Cup,
I think you're right.
91.
Don't know. Yeah.
So he's come back the next year and won a Cox Plate.
That's right. One thing about Superimpose, I remember there's just a little story. Doncaster Day, they paraded him to take the field out. And
After he's done.
No, he'd retired. Anyway, obviously being a great racehorse, he's got there and they put this kid on him just to go up the top of the straight and canter down, right?
Took off.
Mate, he got there and he's bristled up. Anyway, the kid's trotted him up the top of the straight. Next thing you hear this thing, whoa, and this kid's screaming of him. And he's gone 12 to the furlong, like he's probably 14 at this point, and he's just gone, wow.
Yeah.
And this kid off
Yeah.
on Superimpose couldn't stop him.
Yeah, the crowd's probably cheering too.
Yeah, well, they were. Yeah, they
go
were
quicker.
cheering him.
Yeah.
So they know those old racehorses. There's something inside them that they go, oh no, I want to still do this.
Oh, mate, when I took Mackivy to Mackivy to Stakes Day, they paraded her, and as soon as she come out of the tunnel, she grew a hand. Like
Yeah,
she
yeah.
just lifted, and she
Yeah,
went.
right.
She's probably saying, "What the f are they going to do this to me now? Like I'm not like this."
They're very smart, aren't they? Horses.
They're very intelligent.
Do you get like that when you walk out in the middle on a big test match day? You go, oh, I'd love to be out here. Still
Well,
doing it."
sometimes, I mean, obviously I was a selector for 3 or 4 years
Yeah.
since I stopped playing, and now with the commentary. Yeah, I mean, you do. In the big days, you know, you're out there in the middle, you're looking at the pitch, you know, the crowd's starting to get in there and the players are warming up and you think, oh, yeah, I wouldn't mind playing again.
Never leaves you.
No, it doesn't lead you. And you get a little bit nervous for the players. When I was a selector, I used to get, you know, you obviously wanted them to do well because it make you look good or bad if you picked a bloke.
Well, you got 20 million experts telling you that
Yeah.
you're wrong if it goes. What was
That's
that like?
right. I enjoyed being a selector. I mean, 9 times out of 10 that the team picks itself. It's normally only 1 or 2 spots
Yeah.
where you know. Anyway, I just blame Rod Marshall, Trevor Haynes. We went wrong.
And they were blaming you.
They were chairman of selectors, so I'd blame them. But I mean, often you think you're picking the right guy. I mean, there's no. You pick someone who you think is going to do well, but at the end of the day, it's not an exact science.
Is there some cricketers that like just say state of origin players, right?
Yeah.
When they're playing for their club,
Yeah.
they're okay. They're on the fringes, they're good players. But as soon as they put that blue jersey or that maroon jersey on, they become.
Yep.
Is there some cricketers that you pick
Yep.
because you know they're going to?
There's some guys who would average less playing for their states than they do for Australia. So, you know, your big game players. I mean, if it was just pure stats, you wouldn't need any selectors. You just have a computer to pick the team. So, you know, there's a lot more than just the stats go into it. But I mean, I suppose in your career, you were spoken about as a big race jockey, weren't you?
Yeah.
You know, some of the midweek races or whatever, you weren't even trying. No, joking. But you'd peak on the big days.
Yeah, I just enjoyed that.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, my mindset was certainly different on them big days.
You rode a winner for Kim on a Wednesday, actually.
Yeah, I did.
Sir Craigley.
Yeah.
I reckon you slaughtered him the week before and then he won the
Probably-
next start.
I said, give me another chance.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
don't
Sir
make the same,
Craigley.
same mistake
And you
twice.
rode a horse called Camilsey in the Melbourne Carnival,
Yeah.
staying mare. She was a good mare.
Talking about Kim, she's a beautiful woman, and I've known Kim a long time before you guys got together.
Yeah.
She was always a tremendous horsewoman, you know, and
Yep,
You know, she loves it.
Yeah, well, she loves the horses.
Loves the horses.
The rest of the game is getting tough. I think you've really got to be almost a salesman these days. The fun's the fun's gone out of the game a little bit. It's a real business. Got to sell yourself. See the big stables. They're selling themselves. But Kim's, she's quietened down a bit. She hasn't got the numbers she used to have, but she still loves the horses. She never has a day off. She's so dedicated, and she's got a real affinity with animals and horses. So she goes well.
So what's your role in the operation?
Well, we
Assistant
own a
trainer
farm. So we spell our own horses at our farm on the Central Coast. So there's 30 or 40 horses on the farm, and then Kim's based at Wyong, which is about 10 minutes away. She was at Rose Hill for a lot of years. Moved up the Central Coast. My role, I do the form. I did the programming and handicapping with Kim for quite a few years, but I don't do that anymore.
What happened? You got the sack? Or?
No, not doing that sack. I was just too busy. With the cricket and that sort of stuff. So, what else do I do?
What about trying to keep that bloody donkey?
Oh, Bully.
Bully.
Oh, yeah.
I love that social media stuff.
Yeah.
He walks in the house.
He has. He's walking
Mate,
out.
he's
donkey.
He looks like
Bully's
a terrier.
famous. We had Doc Harry at our farm doing a big piece on him during the Melbourne Cup. Well, we saved him when he was a little orphan.
Yeah.
He was in a paddock near our house, and the owner of the farm was an imbecile. But Kim had noticed every day that the mother was rejecting the little donkey. He wasn't getting any feed, so Kim just picked him up and we took him home. He was about this big, so we had him from about 4 or 5 weeks.
He's like a little human
So he doesn't
being.
know if he's a horse, a human, a donkey, or a dog. He's a bit confused, but
Multiple personalities.
he's
That's
a
why
character.
he carries on like that too.
he
doesn't
does.
he?
Yeah, he's a character. I should have brought him in today.
Oh mate, that would be fun.
Just happens it is.
He
drink out of the
would
cup.
have knocked everything over.
How old is he now?
I think he's about. How old would he be?
Five. I
Five,
was
six.
going to say, yeah. I was thinking
Got a
about
big head on him. His head's this big. He's a mini donkey, but bloody big head's donkeys. I tell you, it'd be good enough for photo finish. Get your head out. Bully.
Correct.
It could go somewhere else with this.
The
but-
social stuff when I see it, it's mad. You got to check it
Yeah,
out.
okay, cool.
Yeah, Bully. Yeah, he's good.
But so much goes into it.
It does. I mean,
Yep.
you just got no idea. Like as a punter, you just turn up. You think it's all beautiful, but there's another side to it. I mean, they're animals, so 24 hours a day, you've basically got to look after them. Things can go wrong, things can go right. I think the hardest thing in racing is no matter how hard you work, there's so many other things that can affect the result. From a training point of view, you've got your farrier, you've got the track conditions, you've got the jockey, your training facilities. You can only control so much.
Yeah.
So you can put the work in and maybe not get the results. And jockey's a little bit the same. I mean, destiny's in your own hand, but lots of things can go wrong. They're animals. They're not cars, so that it's not push buttons. So it's a great sport, but in a way, it's a tough sport. It really tests you mentally to try and stay up there because you have the good times, and then next day you got to front up.
Yep.
You might have to ride somewhere, or Kim's got to front up at 4 a.m. At work, and then things can go wrong the next day. So you've got to be mentally strong, and you've got to love the sport. You've got to love the horse, really.
You take that into account, Bossy, when things don't pan out on a horse, and the trainer who has put in all this effort, and for one reason or another, it hasn't gone the way that you thought it would play, and you hop off it. Like, how do you deal with that as the pilot?
Yeah. In my younger days, I was pretty bad at it. I kind of just was so into what I was doing, I'd probably disrespected, like what effort. And then as you get older, you kind of learn and you realise the effort that is put in behind the scenes. But that's what you say there, Junior, is like our sport, racing in particular, is littered with imperfections. There's so many variables.
Who gave you the biggest spray as a trainer?
Oh, John
Jay
O'Shea.
Hawkes? Oh no, John O'Shea.
John O'Shea was unbelievable. But
Unbelievably good.
He's a great trainer and a great mate of mine, but he could
bad.
give me a spray. Like you just see his head go.
Oh no.
Bright red.
You hop off the horse, you walk towards him.
You're walking towards him going, here it comes.
He's a fiery rugby league player in his day, wasn't he?
Yeah, but the good part about it, you'll front up Monday track work and it's all forgotten.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we move on very quickly. But yeah, he was the best. Everyone tells, when you ask all the jockeys, he's the first one. John O'Shea.
What about Jay? What about Hawks?
Hawks, he was pretty good, yes. Yeah. But you know why? Because these guys, what you realise how these guys are so into their game, they literally will not leave any stone unturned to get victory. So their levels are very high.
That's right.
So if you're not at that level, it's almost like you're disrespecting them. And they want the people around them to be at that level. And not everyone can do that.
It's a great game. Cricket, did you find the same? Like yourself, like you made it look naturally talented. Obviously, you worked damn hard at it. Shane Warne just had a natural gift to be able to do what he did, but he obviously worked hard at it. But when you see other people trying to skirt around the truth in terms of trying to get the best out of themselves, how was that in a cricket team?
Well, I mean, I play with whatever team I play with. We had success actually, whether it be Bankstown or New South Wales or Australia. So I was lucky. So everyone that I played with were high achievers. And I mean, if you're going to play for Australia, you're not going to find too many shortcutters, within that environment. And you're going to get found out pretty quick. So I mean, yes, there was guys who didn't train as hard as others. We're all different. And, what makes this player tick might not make that player tick. So that's the role of the coach and the leadership within the group to understand that, hey, he mightn't train as hard as this guy, but when he crosses that line, he lifts to another level. And that was a bit like Warney. He'd probably do anything to get out of training, but he'd get on the ground then. His diet was terrible, but he got on the ground. He was, was a champion. Myself, like I trained a lot. I didn't hit a lot of balls, but I fielded a lot. I bowled in the nets. I enjoyed training, but I wasn't a big runner, like, for example, run around the ground and do 100 laps. I hated that, actually. I needed a ball to encourage me, like a dog. If I'm going to run, I need a ball.
I was always wondered, how did you train yourself, like that reaction time? Like, they're coming in, they're steaming in.
Yeah.
And, like, what is the actual reaction time that you have? It's minute, right?
It's natural. I mean, everybody's good at something. Like, I can't ride a horse, at all, a little bit. And you probably can't, you can't do other things as well. Everyone's good at something, I think, and then it's just a matter of honing your skills. So it's almost like second nature. Taking catches, you can practice, but the really good ones have just got that inborn skill that you can't train for. So it's a combination of having that inborn ability, then you're honing your skills through practice, and then your mental strength would be the other thing, I guess.
Yeah, because I did it in the nets one time just for we were doing some skit, and they had the ball machine.
Yeah.
And they wound it up to
Probably
say
70.
Brett Lee speed or whatever. Someone pretty quick.
I think they would have done that. They would have killed you.
And there was a gyprock wall behind me.
Yeah.
And I literally couldn't. It was gone past me and through the gyprock wall before I could even react. Like, I'm going, my God, that's when you got a real appreciation of what you guys do.
But you guys, how do you? Like, you're so small. How do you control an animal that's so powerful?
65
it's
k's an hour,
ridiculous. I mean, it's all in your hands, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
The feel. So
It's just what you do, right?
We're all good at something, and then you've got the natural ability. Then it's a matter of getting better at certain skills that you're not quite as good at.
Yeah, you riding horses, you playing cricket, and me
You
talking.
well, you get paid.
He's got real good at
it. sharpening it up. Hey, Junior, tell us about the day at the SCG. And it was Melbourne Cup day. You were playing cricket.
Exactly.
What the hell happened there?
That is terrible programming by Cricket Australia. Well, how would you play cricket on Melbourne Cup day? So anyway, there was a game on. We're playing Western Australia. And Daryl Hare was the umpire, who I know is a very keen horse fan. So I sort of, we were bowling and Western Australia were batting. So Justin Langer was batting at the time. And I knew what time the Melbourne Cup was on, and it didn't fall within a drinks break or the tea break, so that was a bit unfortunate. So I spoke to Daryl Hare, the umpire, during the day, and I'd spoken to the guy who ran the scoreboard, because they had the big electronic scoreboard, so you could see the race if you wanted to. They could switch it on. So I went to Daryl Hare. I said, mate, don't worry about Langer batting. We've got to stop play to watch the Melbourne Cup. He goes, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, no worries, leave it with me. So it gets to 3 o'clock. He calls a drinks break. And Langer's, he's batting, he's on about 70. He's concentrating. He's a pretty deep thinker, JL. And all of a sudden, we're stopping playing. He's going, what's going on? I said, mate, we're watching the Melbourne Cup. That's what's going on. So I come up on the big screen. There was a slight delay, so I was sort of out there for about 10 minutes waiting for the race. And then JL shook his head. He goes, you bloody Wars, you run the show. I said, yep, we do indeed.
Who won? What year was that?
It was the second or third day. I can't remember, actually. I really can't remember, but I got the game stopped.
That's
Rightly so. I mean,
correct.
It's un-Australian not to watch the Melbourne Cup.
The whole Australia
That's
shuts
what I
down.
told JL. I mean, you're kidding, JL.
He wouldn't know the
Relax,
race
will
was on.
you? No, he probably wouldn't know.
Did he get to his 100?
I can't remember that either. I hope he did, because he would have been he got out. But, you got to do these things. You got to get your priorities right every now and then.
It's wonderful organisation by your good self, especially like the umpire is one thing.
Well, Daryl, luckily it was Daryl Hare. You know, he's a good guy. He loved to punt, so.
But to tee up the scoreboard attendant as well, now that is planning.
He would have just told him, so easy. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Job done. Yeah.
Would have been Channel 9, right? Would it have been Channel 9?
No, I don't know who runs the scoreboard at the SCG. It was a Shield match, so it wasn't on TV.
Free for all.
Yeah, so, you know, I don't know who did it.
I remember because it must have been the Packer influence. I remember going to games at the SCG in the 80s and 90s, and there was always 2 TABs there. I may or may not have been about 12 or 13 years of age, but, you know, these things happen. But every 40 minutes, the race results would pop up on the screen.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that happening now. It's like just another world.
I remember one year, our first test at the Gabba used to coincide with Melbourne Cup week. Used to be a couple of days after the Cup, but I remember we were up there training.
Always used to start on Oaks Day.
Preparing.
The first test.
So there was races on at Eagle Farm on Melbourne Cup Day, so I went to the races. Yeah. But I knew we were training in the afternoon, the Australian team. And so the Melbourne Cup was on, and then I went to get a taxi to go back to the hotel to go to training, and I couldn't get a taxi. So I had to freaking run back from Eagle Farm to, you know, the hotel right near Albion Park Trots there, the powerhouse or whatever. That's where we were staying. So I had to go from there to get back in time for training. Because I couldn't get a taxi.
In your bag of fruit?
No, I was casual. There's no bloody taxis.
That's a good 4 or 5K run.
Yeah, well, it's the most ever run, yeah. So I had to get back because I couldn't get a taxi.
So the guy who never ran at training, hated it, needed a ball.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much a ball you need, you just needed incentive. And that day you had incentive.
Well, I would have got in trouble off John Buchanan, our coach, if I'd missed training, so I had to get there quick. Yeah.
Modern cricket. How do you reckon you'd fit in with franchise cricket and, you know, people playing for franchises around the world?
I'd be a lot richer, put it that way. If I'd be playing IPL, I'd be, who knows? I mean, the money we got was great. You know, I can't complain. It's all in context, but I mean, the money now is just astronomical. I mean, they're getting $3 million US for 6 weeks' work. Yeah. In the IPL, so
not bad.
How do I go? I'd go all right. I'd make sure I went all right. No worry.
But I suppose, you know, they still, when you get real good at your craft, you probably can sort of. It's almost like you deserve to be paid good money. If you're at the top end of your craft, you can't begrudge someone making a lot of money.
No, I mean, good on them, man. Yeah. But the IPL has just propelled their earnings to a different level if you're a half decent player.
Yeah.
How do you feel about players, like, you know, not prioritising IPL, but making sure they're always available for it, as opposed to, you know, the odd bilateral series on the other side?
I don't like it, but I can understand it. Yeah, I mean, there's no point going totally against the IPL and these franchise tournaments. You just got to try and work it in.
Yep.
It's just the way it is.
It's generational wealth, isn't it?
I mean, the money is so big there. You know, it'd be hard to stop a player playing a full IPL season because I think they get docked money if they don't play every game, sort of thing. You know, in their contract. So to get the best out of the player, you don't want them being cranky and upset with Cricket Australia or the setup here. So you guys got to work with them. I mean, nothing's perfect, but you sort of work with them.
It's like you guys, Bossy, at Jockeys. You see, I'm sure James Mcdonald tomorrow could go to Hong Kong, but he's obviously
probably will,
wants to achieve things here. But people go, oh, well, how can you give up maybe winning a Golden Slipper or a Melbourne Cup? They're going, but he's setting up generational wealth.
Well, that's what the thing is. Yeah, you are. You're setting up generational wealth.
I mean, last weekend was a prime example. We went to Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
Didn't you? And Group 1s were on here.
Yep. $20 million US race. So it's huge money and almost pulled it off, right? So just can you imagine the money he would have earned that day winning that race. So it's like live golf now. You know, these guys are doing that. They're setting themselves up, and their families coming after it with that wealth they're generating.
Money talks all languages, isn't it?
Correct.
Loyalty goes so far. But then money
goes to the next level. Goes the rest.
A couple of favourites to finish with, Junior. Favourite cricketer of all time?
Viv Richards. He's had the swagger, had the skills. Just
an imposing man,
man,
right?
Great. That group of West Indian players for that era were just amazing.
Did he chat much out there, Viv?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah? A little bit.
Who was the biggest chatter?
Desmond Haynes used to chat a bit in that team. He'd stir up the fast bowlers saying that we were saying stuff which we weren't.
Just
He'd
what
feel a short leg, but no, I mean chatting at the highest level, it's a bit overhyped. There's not a lot goes on. I mean, most players respect each other. It's more the lower levels where there's more sledging.
Is that right?
You get down to your club cricket, that sort of level.
This Fat Cat
Park
was
cricket.
telling me there was a lot of sledging going.
Well, Fat Cat was one of the better sledges, actually.
yeah.
You're right. He was.
He
a good
was a
sledge.
ripper.
And Petersham Marrickville in first grade cricket when I was going through first grade, they were the good sledges.
Team of chatters.
Yeah.
You've explained
Richards,
your favourite horse, Maccabi Diva, Superimpose, but favourite day on a racetrack? Apart from the 171 5 each
Yeah,
way.
well, favourite day would be when Martoom won the Sydney Cup. So Kim trained Martoom. He won the Sydney Cup in 205. And we got married the next week. So we had the Sydney Cup at the wedding the next week. So I'd say that would be my favourite day on the racetrack. Martoom ran in the Melbourne Cup the year later in 2006 when the two Japanese horses ran 1-2.
Yep.
He ran sixth, Martoom, in the Cup, which is
That's a great
He
effort.
wasn't as good that year. He was better the year before and he got injured. He would have been more of a chance. He was a genuine 2-miler. So that was a great experience. Just being down, we were based at Mornington for the week for the Cup, and then going to the Cup and running sixth in the Melbourne Cup.
Delta Blues, Pop Rocket.
That's right.
So
1-2.
to run top 10 in that race, because that was a brutally run race that year, fast. So he's run really
and
well.
Corey Brown rode him, actually. He said he probably should have run third. He said he had a horse on his inside, ran third, maybe something. And I think Chris Muntz was riding. He said he couldn't hold it the whole way. He said he was sort of making him over race the whole way and bumping into him. He said he probably should have run a place. So that was a great day as well.
Lucky he didn't run 05 because you would have seen the back of...
Yeah, well, I think Martoom ran against Maccabi Diva at Rose Hill in the Tancred Stakes.
Oh, yes, he did.
Yeah, he ran a good race.
Grand
Martoom,
Arm,
and-
where I smashed
Yeah,
Grand
that's
Army.
right. That was a very, very strong.
That was an amazing. That
Tancred
was one of
Stakes.
her. That was actually probably her best victory.
Really? Yeah.
Her best victory of her life.
Better than all these.
No, because she gave Grand Army, who was
right.
flying at the
Yeah.
time. He came out and won the Doncaster after that. He was airborne. I give him, I'd say, 8 lengths at the 1,000 and beat him 3.
Yeah.
And he was airborne.
Yeah. I think, well, Martoom ran fourth, maybe fourth in that race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, well, here's the Martoom. Here's the Maccabi
Yeah.
Diva.
Yeah.
Here's
Cheers,
the Who's the
mate.
Boss.
Yeah,
Mark
cheers.
Waugh.
Great. Thanks for being on here.
Mate, thank
Cheers,
you.
mate. Thank you. Who's the Boss? Season 3 off and running.
Here we go.
Mark Waugh, Bossy. Only one man could probably, in those days, make sure that the umpires and everyone around stopped the game so they could watch a game.
Yes.
watch the Melbourne
Watch the
Cup
races
on the
or what?
big
Yeah.
screen.
He's
out.
heavily entrenched into it. Great cricket, obviously. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
that goes without saying. But his stories about racing is unbelievable.
I get the feeling he likes racing a lot more than cricket.
I think that's actually very true.
Yeah.
He's works in the stables. He's around it all the time.
Yeah.
He's just a pleasant person to be around, isn't he?
Yeah, no, but so many great stories, and I love his commentary. Absolutely love his commentary
Yes, that's
because
one
there's
thing.
absolutely no dancing around the truth with M Waugh. A quick mention of our great sponsors here, IPE. They're back again. So International Premier Events, they're back again. So they do all these great experiences for fans. You get involved, you get looked after with great hospitality. Bossy, I know you're going to be at Golden Slipper Day. I'd love to mention the fact that you can get along to Golden Slipper Day with IPE, but they're sold out. So, unfortunately, maybe there's some dropouts. There's a wait list. So have a look at the website there.
I think when they mentioned I was going to go, that they sold out very quickly, you know. So, unfortunately, I've got to get in early with IPE because when Bossy turns up, it's sold out.
I do want to make mention, though, that day, Golden Slipper Day, the special guests are Brian Fletcher and Andrew Johns. You're going to have to act as security. That
I thought it
particular
was all
day.
me there. Jeez.
You're the sensible one.
You didn't
by
even
a
let me
long
down
way.
lightly there, do you? No, it's going to be a great day.
Sensible Bossy will be looking after things as well. So that's at Rose Hill, but there's still spots available for State of Origin. There's a great experience there with Origin coming up in the middle of the year, and the British and Irish Lions, the big rugby union tour.
Right.
There are 30,000 people coming from the British Isles for this one. So we need to load up with as many Wallaby Gold supporters. So get along and check out IPE to get involved in that one.
Can't wait.
Yeah, so IP events, that's the website. It's ipevents.com.au. Buy your corporate tickets with IPE, and we'll hopefully see you during 2025. Bossy's best, here it is. Bossy, hard to really pick out where to look first with this weekend of racing. So at Randwick, you've got the Group 1 Very Elegant Stakes over the mile. We've got the Slipper lead-ins, the Skyline for the boys, the Sweet Embrace for the girls. You got the Surround Stakes with potentially one of the best horses in Australia. We'll get to that in a moment. And down in Flemington, you've got the Group 1 Australian Guineas, which is always won by a good horse.
Yep.
And it kind of creates stud careers as well. We'll start at Randwick, shall we?
Let's start at Randwick.
Very elegant stakes. Via Sistina, we know she's the best horse in the land.
Yep.
Is she going to be the best horse in the land on Saturday?
Yeah, she'll bounce back. Things didn't quite go right for her first up. Beaten convincingly, but things didn't quite go her way, and she will bounce back quickly. She's a proper star, right? I think she'll get it. James goes back on. Take nothing away from Kieran, but things just didn't go right for him first up, and she'll butter up a lot better horse second up. But Jesus, this is one hell of a race.
Why are you so confident about her?
Well, it wasn't a gut-busting run first up, so I think she was going to bounce off that. There has been things in the past where Chris's horses second up have been a little bit vulnerable, but it wasn't one of them gut-busting runs first up. I think there's a lot more in the tank, and I think she's going to win on the weekend, then cement her way right through this autumn carnival.
There's a horse going around, a heavy favourite in the Surround Stakes.
Yep.
Lady Shenandoah.
Yep.
Few people around think that she is the next big thing in Australian racing. Agree or disagree?
I agree. This filly by Snitzel, it's just been ultra impressive. Geez, they just keep finding one every year, don't they? The Chris Waller, James Mcdonald team, they just...
Yeah, he goes all right, Waller.
Yeah, he goes good, the bloke. He's starting to probably reach his potential.
He's getting there.
But they just unearth a great filly every season. And they found another one here. I think she's drawn 3. She's going to get the perfect run for James. And we'll probably see a real proper racehorse on the weekend.
Yeah, she's going along in her own grade against her own age. And it's not been exposed to the good big ones yet, but you get the feeling that one day she's going to be in the very best races in Australia.
Sure. I think you're going to take skinny odds, but I think you're just going to go and watch a very good racehorse.
The 2-year-olds races. So the Skyline Stakes.
Yep.
Shaggy. Mr. Lover Lover. Shaggy is the favourite in this one. Bit of a rags to riches story in keeping with the name.
It is.
It's a great story.
It is a great story. He's a very, very fast horse. I have got this little doubt about him at 1,200 metres in a very high pressure race. What I've seen has been very impressive, but when you go from you only think 100 metres is not much. When you go from 1,000 to 1,100, then you go to 1,200, it's actually can be a lot for those fast horses. So if he wins on the weekend, he's probably going to go to second favourite for the slipper. But like I said, the market's been changing a lot for this slipper, which as it does every year. But I'll be interested to see how much he can do under real pressure, this horse on this Shaggy on the weekend.
Yeah, do you exercise a bit of caution with these races with the 2-year-olds from a investment point of view? Because are they at their peak? Are they going to peak for slipper? Can they hold their form?
I think when you start going into markets early with 2-year-old races, it's at your own peril, because 2-year-olds are notoriously, the young horses, there's a lot of pressure on them. They can be there one day and then gone the next, as far as their temperament. I'd rather wait until nearly the day, because you're still going to get good odds about a good horse. So for mine, you got to see them on the day, how their conditions holding up, how they're handling themselves on a big day, because they can melt instantly, 2-year-olds. So I think when you back them early for a slipper market, you got to go there with precariously. You're going to get shot.
So when you're on a sprinter and a 2-year-old sprinter as well,
Yep.
in a race like a Golden Slipper or the races on the weekend over 1,200, and you're leading, that last 100 metres can feel like the longest 100 metres of your life.
Yep, 100%. And that depends on what sort of lead you've got. But generally, you're not going to get a soft lead in a slipper, right? Unless it's rare, because you're going to get attacked You're going to get attacked at a lot of points throughout the race. And that if you're exposed with 100 to go and you're hanging on for your life, man, that last 10, like what's going to be like 5 or 6 seconds, 100 metres, geez, it feels like an eternity.
Yeah, a bit like the morning after a slipper. That whole morning can feel like the longest morning of your life.
Correct.
Bossy, Flemington, the mile, Australian Guineas for the 3-year-olds. Always a great race. This one, it's hard to cut apart. There's some multiple chances.
I think it's a proper race this year. Sometimes you get the Australian Guineas this time of the year, it can be a little bit, there's 1 or 2 chances, but this race is littered with chances, and they're actually going well at the moment. Obviously, Gold Rush Guru, if ridden outside of his pattern last time, probably a race that I had to use to get ready for this one. But if they utilise his best asset, he can win from a good draw. Angel Capital's flying for Clinton Mcdonald. He's a really nice horse, can race on the speed from a good draw. He's going to be look like the winner for most of this race. So, and there's many other chances in this race. So, a full field of 3-year-olds over the mile at Flemington, it's always going to be a great spectacle. So, if you're backing one, it's 4-1 the field apparently. So it's an open race. So if you've backed one, you're going to have a good chance.
Well, we look forward to a great weekend of racing. We look forward to episode 2 of Who's the Boss Season 3 as well. Recap, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok, YouTube, at Who's the Boss Pod. Tell your friends, subscribe, comment, give us some advice. Love advice here at Who's the Boss. And it's available wherever you get your podcast from. Absolutely everywhere. Apple, Spotify, all the rest. So we've got the best in Australia, I dare say, if not the world, in Luke McCarthy is going to join us. And looking forward to that chat.
Yeah, me too, because I'm actually getting into the trots a lot. Adam Hamilton's, who's one of my mentors, he loves the trots, and he's been dragging me to a lot of these events. Even just recently, I went and watched the Drivers' Championships Challenge, where they had some of the world's best come to Albion Park in Brisbane, and it was a point system. They had 20 races and over 2 nights, and I got to meet Dexter Dunn, and we're now mates. I've met him a few times, but I got to watch him proper drive. And he's one of the world's best drivers and a young bloke. So I'm getting into this now. So to sit down with Luke, who's arguably got one of the best records drivers in Australia. Well, let's just put it, he is, right?
He trains, he drives, he breeds, he does it all. He's incredible.
And a bit of a pioneer in his sport. So I'm really interested to see his journey.
So that's episode 2. Hope you enjoyed episode 1 with Mark Waugh. We're here for the entire autumn carnival on Who's the Boss. Join us next time. If you like our content, hit the like button somewhere down here.
And if you want to subscribe, right here.